Hey guys, Devall here for ToyWorldOrder.com and YouTube.com/ToyWorldOrder. It's another year. It's another Chicago Doll and Toy Show, the Kane County Toy Show, as we like to call it, which is what it's kind of better known as. We didn't get to go in the spring in 2017. We went in the fall of 2016. We skipped the spring show just due to a lot of personal issues going on between, here at home with our late dog. Stuff with Dave going on in his personal life that we just couldn't it just didn't happen. So we went to the fall show, which sometimes is the more I like the fall show a lot better. Seems like you have a lot more dealers coming out to clear out collections because they're building up to Christmas, and they're trying to make some money for the holiday season and to bring new stock in for the next year. So I found some cool stuff. I'm not going to lie, I didn't find a lot of action figure stuff, which you'll see, which is strange for me because usually I come out of this show with a ton of action figure stuff. This time, not so much. I just kind of picked and chose and really didn't pull the trigger on a lot of things unless it really, really caught my eye and interested me. But we'll start off. I found Billy Baloney, Pee-wee's ventriloquist doll, Billy Baloney. His little eyes move. Hello everybody, I'm Billy Baloney. Bah, 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 bah. He's got shifty eyes and he can stare into your soul. Stare into your soul. Give me your toys. Billy's got some stains on his pants, sadly. But there's not really a good way to wash him. He's got a zip tie that goes basically around his neck. The clothes are tucked into the zip tie. And the zip tied, of course. Technically, I could cut that and probably wrap his feet and his hands in something and then wash the rest of his body. But, it's not that big of a deal. I need to clean his face up. His face is front of his face is kind of dirty. But yeah, his pants got some spots on him. But he was $20. So, the guy had one in a box there that was sealed that he wanted. Close to $200 for. He was like, they don't sell for cheaper than that. And I was like, pretty sure I saw one on another table loose for way cheaper than that. Plus the guy there had Terry. Now Terry's suffers from the same type of problem that the My Pet Monsters suffer from. He uses the same type of covering, like this fake pleather kind of stuff, and you can kind of tell on his back if you can see that, and on his neck it's kind of peeling away. It's just something that happens with age. The ET dolls of the day, a lot of them had the same type of covering. His face is pretty good though, and he still flaps. And his eyes, you can position his eyes. They're on a little swivel, so you can kind of have him look wherever. It just takes a little working with. You kind of have to pull his eyes back, and there you go. So you can see his, and then you can just pull his eyes eye socket back over once you've got his eye situated. And of course, he had a little hanging tab, so you could actually hang him if you wanted. Pretty sure that's how they came. I've never seen one of these directly out of a box, so I'm not 100% sure, but I'm pretty sure this little hang tag is pretty much how you were able to hang Terry from the sky in the air and let him fly, just like on Pee-wee's Playhouse. Those were cool finds. Those finish off my large-scale Pee-wee stuff. I've got Cherry, I've got Talking Pee-wee in a box, and now I've got Billy, and I've got Terry. So those are awesome. I found some stuff. There was a company called Gorham that did some Disney stuff, and these were kind of a treat to find. These were like Disney characters on safari. They did this little line of, really these are the only two figures I could find that Durham did, was a Mickey and a Goofy. And they're just these little characters, plastic characters, hard plastic, with soft plastic heads. They kind of remind me of Dakin in a way, but of course they're not Dakin figures, but they kind of have that same style to them as Dakin figures did. And they were just too interesting, something for Carrie for her Goofy collection and her Mickey collection, just because I'd never seen them before. And then I guess, doing research, I discovered that I think these are the only two. They did a Donald, but he wasn't a safari Donald. He was just kind of, I'm not sure what he was dressed for, but he was not dressed for safari. But these were a cool little find. These were fun. Those were kind of neat. Let's see, what else can I show you? One of the last things I bought of the day was this little guy. And sadly, he's already kind of coming apart. Warren did these really cool, really neat 3D puzzles. Let me get this in there. There we go. And I've got a number of them. I've got Vehicle Force Voltron. I've got a couple of Transformer ones, but they're kind of neat. They're on one side. They're this design here with Voltron fighting Prince Lothar in what looks to be one of the Robotanks. But then, of course, you flip it over, and on the other side are the pieces you can punch out in order to build this Voltron, which is really cool. I'm sure you can hear the cat. She's having a cow because I won't let her out in the garage, but she can kiss my butt. Shush. Very cool piece. This was fun to find. I wanted to find the Vehicle Force Voltron since I had, or the Lion Force Voltron since I had Vehicle Force Voltron. So that was fun to find. I was very happy to discover that little guy. That made me very happy. I found a bunch of color forms, which were interesting. And we'll get to these. You can see these costumes here. We'll look at those in a minute. But these 3 color forms came from the same dealer that the costumes came from. And they were priced at a point that I couldn't pass them up. They were like $8 and $10 a piece, which isn't bad. And he cut me a good deal. I only paid $20 for all 3, which was kind of cool. But the cool thing about these is that they've never been used. So the Mickey Mouse color form set, which is something I had as a kid, which is very cool, had never been used. Rainbow Bright. Sprite had been punched out, like he had just fallen off but she's never been, like the pieces have moved over the years, but she's never been used, which is kind of neat. And then we get a Popple set, which was interesting because between when those 2 sets came out in, not sure when the Mickey one came out, I know it was the 80s. Of course, Rainbow Bright was 83, Popples was 86. They went from the little hard plastic color form sheets to these kind of pre-cut paper sheets for color forms, but Popples never used, so those were fun to find. That was kind of cool. I love finding color form sets. I love them. They're not easy to display, but you put them in a stack and stack them up. You can see what they are, and that's always kind of fun. I also found this super deluxe playset for Disney's Magic Kingdom, based on Walt Disney World or Disneyland. I believe it's Walt Disney World is what this one is based off of. This one has been used. You can kind of see the color form pieces have kind of separated, and they've got the old. They don't stick anymore, sadly. Color form pieces are not great at keeping their stickiness, sadly. But it's got this deluxe playboard where you can actually open it up to show more of Disney World, which is kind of cool. And it is Disney World because we've got, well, no, this is Disneyland because it's got the Matterhorn. So, my bad. You've got Pirates, and you've got the Swiss Army, the Swiss Family Treehouse, and the Jungle Cruise, and the Haunted Mansion, with one of the hitchhiking ghosts up here in the corner, which is kind of cool. This was a neat playset. This was something I had never seen before. And even though the pieces, they're all there, but the pieces are kind of falling apart, still a neat little display item from for Disney for this line. Box has had some repairs done to it, but that was probably the most expensive color form set I bought. It was like $20, $22. So I did find a board game, which I can't not go to Kane County and not bring a board game home. But I found Swamp Thing Battle for the Bayou. It was like one of the last stops of the day, and the guy just had it. What's funny is this actually originated from my buddy Hatch Tar last year at the show. He had it and traded it to some other guys that were set up. I don't know if they were close by him last year. They were close to him this year. So Hatch actually traded this last year, and it came from Goodwill, which I think is hysterical. It's got the Goodwill 99-cent tag on it, which is awesome. But guy only wanted $5 for it, and then I walked down, I was carrying it, and Hatch was like, "Did you get that from that guy down there?" I was like, yeah. And he goes, "That was mine." He goes, "That's hysterical." He's like, "I traded that last year to him for a bunch of stuff." And I was like, "That's awesome." I was like, "I only paid $5." So, and it's complete. It's awesome. It's a very cool, kooky looking game. No, like, character playing pieces. They're just like little pawns, which is kind of funny, but some Disney paper stuff. The Disney paper stuff that I found is interesting, as well as what's on the table here, because these all came out of the estate of the gentleman who owned and ran Tomart's publications. So Tomart's, Price Guide to Toys, The great Tome Arts books that Dave and I are always talking about that every collector should have in their collection. Even though it only goes up to 95, they're still amazing for action figures. And he also he also ran the Disneyana magazine. And when he passed last year, his estate came up for auction, and they auctioned everything, all the Tome Arts warehouse, everything. And this guy that had this stuff basically went in and bought everything that was left. And there was some cool stuff that I found. I was surprised some of the stuff was still sitting there. But this little Sport Goofy sticker stamp book, which is kind of neat. It's never been used, so we've got all the Sport Goofy stickers still in there. A little golden book, but you can kind of see there's mazes and stuff to do. Goofy fishing, fun stuff like that. Some more stickers in the back. That was cute. That was for Carrie. And this was too. Well, everything Goofy was for Carrie. Walt Disney's Goofy Dots, authorized edition from Whitman, just a coloring book. Now somebody has done most of the Connect the Dots. I think they did them in pencil though, so you technically could just come in and erase them. But it's a lot of old art like Pecos Bill over here and Scrooge, just a lot of great old Disney artwork. A lot of characters they don't use anymore, like Pecos Bill or like Pete from Pete's Wolf, or from like Pete and the Wolf. Just some really cool stuff, and a lot of the later ones weren't used, but little mess up on the back. But I love the cover where he's like connecting the dots, and again somebody connected the dots in pencil. I'm pretty sure. I don't think that's part of the drawing, but it was pretty neat. It was pretty cute. This was neat. I like to find cutout books when I see them, because a lot of time the punch-out cutout books are not complete. And this is actually a Canadian version of Sport Goofy, which I think is hysterical and awesome. But of course, as you can see, it's got you've got all the paper clothes and the outfits for him to wear. You've got different arrangements, because he's got a little stand he can stand on, and you can dress that up however you like, whether it's the pitcher's mound or he's swimming. It's basically like a little background piece he can stand next to, which is kind of fun. That was kind of neat. Again, you don't see these very often complete, because either these are punched out or somebody has cut the pages out. That was a lot of fun to find. I just kept digging stuff out of this guy's box, because he just had this giant box of Disney stuff, and I was just like, I'll take this, and I'll take this, and I'll take this, and I'll take this. This is kind of cool. This is a magazine called Eisen Years. I don't know. I don't think this is published at Disneyland as well. I know this is a Walt Disney World cast member newspaper. I'm not sure if they still do it. Any Disney cast members out there who are fans of us might be able to tell me otherwise. It's interesting, though. It was Disney's way. It was just like a little free thing they gave out to the staff, to the cast members. Like on the back, there's classified that has housing for rent and apartments for rent and stuff to kind of help cast members either find new places to go. What was interesting about this is that it was celebrating the 15th year anniversary of Walt Disney World, which was 86. We are fastly, and of course the upcoming opening of Disney MGM Studios, we are very quickly coming upon the 50th anniversary of Walt Disney World within the next 7 years, 5, 6, 7 years. I know it's quick. But of course, inside it's just a lot of stuff. At the time, Captain EO down here was the newest Epcot edition, and that's 86. So these are neat. I've got a ton of these from around the time that Disney's Animal Kingdom opened, and around that time we bought a lot of them from an auction in Orlando. So I've got this like huge stack of Eisen Years magazine, and this is now the oldest one that I have, which is kind of cool. So I'm not sure when they started Eisen Years, but it's a neat magazine, and there's always something neat on the cover, whether it's original artwork. I may frame this. I may go get a frame and frame this, because I love this artwork, and we've got several others that the artwork on it is amazing. So I may have to do that. I got some Little Mermaid stuff, which is kind of cool. These actually come from my buddy. These were I say these were a gift. They were. But I also helped Scott Kinney make a sale to our mutual friend, Robert Maxwell Barbieri, which is funny because Scott and Robert know each other, and I played the middleman. And at the end of all of this, Robert texts me, and he's like, Scott's going to think I'm nuts because we talk to each other. Like, we know who each other is. And he's like, he's going to be like, why didn't you just come to me instead of going through Devall? I ended up being the middleman just because I caught it before Robert did, and I told Scott, hey, I think Barbieri is going to want that. It was a big Ninja Turtles wacky action KB Toy Store display sign. And of course, Robert bought it because, you know, I love him. He's Robert. He buys all that stuff, which is awesome. But he had, so Scott bought all of this stuff from a former KB toy manager. And it was a ton of advertising stuff, shelf talkers and posters and just display, like KB centric posters and stuff for toy lines. And these were Little Mermaid shelf talkers for Mermaid Shop when Little Mermaid came out. And those are the Tycho. That's the Tycho artwork on those. And these are unused. As you can tell, they're unbent. They're original. They're very cool. I'm not sure if these would have gone up with double stick tape. I know in later years, a lot of shelf talkers would have holes punched in them because you would just punch the shelf talkers into the actual gondola shelf. These probably either taped on or they just set product on them and hoped that they didn't fall off, or they slid in. Some of their KB used to have, if I remember, I had shelves that had a lip on them that you could slide stuff under. But these were cool. He handed me 2 of these on the other day, which are really neat. And these are going to go up on my shelves. I'm going to bin these. These are going to go up on my Little Mermaid shelves and decorate them because I've got a creepy Little Mermaid collection. This is cool. I haven't done research on this. I'm not sure what this was or what it was used for entirely. I don't know if it was a theatrical display. I don't know if it was something that you could buy at the store for a birthday party. It doesn't seem like it's that type of thing. But this was a Little Mermaid, nice little hanging, you'll forgive me, the word escapes me. I can't think of what they're called. It's early, people, for me. But it's cool. It's, you've got Prince Eric and the Little Mermaid logo. You've got Flounder and Sebastian. You've got Ariel down here. You've got Ursula. Kind of neat. The guy, it was in with all this paperwork stuff, and it was $5. And I thought, well, yeah, I'm going to buy that and hang it from the ceiling. Why wouldn't I? So I picked that up, and now it's going to go in the collection. Again, pretty sure it has something to do with Tycho. I'm going to do some more research on this to figure out where this came from and what this was used for. Because I just don't know. But it's neat. It's all there. It's in beautiful shape. Again, it came from the estate of Tomarts, which was really neat. The only action figure thing I bought was, and our buddy Jeff May gave me crap for this because I paid $20 for it. And he's like, there's got to be a decimal missing because Devall doesn't pay $20 for figures ever. Well, I do when I need it. And the sad thing is, people are going to be angry, but this is unpunched. I'm opening this SOB. So unfortunately, all of you mint and box enthusiasts are going to just despise me because it's one less version and copy of this character on card out there. But I found Wheels Wilson finally with his weapons on card for $20. And the card's got some damage to the back, so I don't feel terrible about opening it. Then again, I never feel terrible about opening anything vintage to display it, just because I bought it. I'm gonna do what I want. I do what I want. But I have a Wheels Wilson. I never could find one with his weapons. His weapons always seem to be the hardest thing for me to find, his little handcuffs and his gun. And I don't know why, because he was a first release figure. He wasn't one of the oddball second release stuff that came out late in that line. So it always confused me as to why he was so hard to find. And even the guy I bought it from was like, he was the second most expensive figure besides RoboCop the guy had, because he's like, there's just none out there. And I was like, I know, I've been looking forever. So I got a Wheels Wilson. That completes my figures. I still need the Robo Jailer, and that will complete all of my released RoboCop stuff. And I'm not going after unreleased stuff. There's quite a bit of it floating out there, but I'm good with my stateside release stuff. So that'll complete the RoboCop and the Ultra Police line for me. So I just need a Robo Jailer. One of these days I'll find it. Now there was a gentleman there, to end up this little haul video, there was a gentleman there that just had a booth. And it was the same gentleman I bought all the little color form sets from. He just had a booth full of Collegeville and Ben Cooper costumes. And for those of you that aren't familiar with Collegeville and Ben Cooper, they were, and we'll get into it with these, they were box costumes for kids. These would be out at Halloween, of course. This is how I remember buying my costumes, was they came in these boxes. Now, of course, these days they're on hangers, they're on, they display them in a certain way. These, when I was a kid, well through into the maybe early 90s, I want to say. Maybe a little later. But this is how we got our Halloween costumes. They were boxed. They were, and this, of course, is Photon Warrior. Warrior R. He was the four-armed Photon villain. But this is how our costumes were. They were these little plastic masks, little rubber band with two little staples in them. Rubber band broke all the time. There's a great Jerry Seinfeld bit out there from one of his stand-up specials where he talks about these types of costumes, because when he was a kid, they made these from I want to say the late 50s, like I said, through probably the mid 90s is when these companies were making these type of costumes. But they were these vinyl. This is what they were. They were these vinyl little clothes that you would put on, and they had the character on the front there, like Warrior. Your arms would go through your legs, so you'd have this like little smock on, basically, and this little mask, and that's how you dressed up for Halloween. That's how a lot of us dressed up for Halloween. Myself, Dave Draper remembers wearing a lot of these costumes. I know Pixel Dan probably remembers wearing a ton of these costumes. I have a picture of myself from when I was a kid wearing Gizmo. And these were cool. They were like $4. The original price tag's still on. They were like $4. But Collegeville and Ben Cooper made a ton of these. And what's interesting is that, of course, these weren't called retardant back then. These were called flame retarded, which, of course, these days using that in a phrase will not fly in today's PC culture. But with understanding why, but that's what we had to deal with. And I don't think these things were flame retardant. I think they would have gone up, had you been too close to a fire, you would have gone up in a blaze of glory. But I found Warrior. I found all four of the Photon. The guy had all four of the Photon. So I found Warrior. I found Mandar, who was one of the villains. I'll show you a better picture of him here on his little smock. So he was one of the villains of Photon. And this guy had several hundred. And they were all from his collection. And he'd been accumulating for years, and he just decided it's time to see them go to a home. So he was cutting crazy deals on this stuff. I'm talking like, I got a good deal. It wasn't a hugely spectacular deal, but I got 6 costumes for $100, and he had like almost $30 a piece. 22 to $30 a piece on the Photon alone. So I got a pretty decent deal on these, which is awesome. Leon, which was the big the lizard guy. Rawr. The other bad thing, I'm gonna take my hat off. My hair is all unkempt, but here I'll carefully put this on for you here. So this is what the masks looked like when they were on. These they were hot. Like the little breathing holes are right here. They were hot. You sweated profusely in these things as you talked and breathed. The little eye holes would cut your eyes. And it's funny, like I said, there's a Jerry Seinfeld bit. He talks about the rubber bands breaking, and then they'd have to like pull them through the staples and tie them again. And you like the string would get shorter and shorter, and this thing would like seize up farther and farther in your face to where these little plastic eye holes were like slicing the outside of your eyes, and you're like, oh god, I'm bleeding. Leon though was the kind of the big lizard guy from Photon. What's interesting about the Photon stuff is I don't think they made a lot of. I know for a fact they did not do a lot of licensing for Photon. It was not something that lasted very long. We got 2 action figures. There's a ton of unreleased action figures that made it to the late stages of the game that are out there. There's some prototypes and some working final prototypes out there. Some painted, actual painted masters and stuff out there that work. And then I found Bodhi Lee, who was our hero of Photon. He was our hero. Here's his little smock. So you can kind of get an idea of his outfit. So these were cool. Now this guy, like I said, had several hundred costumes. I mean, just stacks of them. And he had a lot of people in and out of his booth, which was kind of cool. But he had all the GoBots ones. So he had Leader One, Coptor, and Cycle, and I really wanted those. But then I found all four of the Photon ones, and I was like, well, those are probably harder to find than the GoBots one, because I know for a fact Photon did not last long enough for them to make a whole lot of merchandise. So I found all four of the Photon masks, and I believe that's it for the costumes for Photon. They didn't do any other ones that I'm aware of. Just Warrior, Mandar, Leon, and Bodhi Lee. So 2 villains, 2 heroes. That makes sense. I also bought these because these were from Ben Cooper. Now these were from Collegeville, and Ben Cooper was a separate company. These what I think is interesting is these still have the original price tag from Ben Franklin for $7, but these were Sesame Street costumes from Ben Cooper. But the interesting thing about these is that this is actually these were for Muppet Babies. So we have Baby Kermit, little Baby Kermit here, and his little smock. Let me unfold because it was a 2-piece costume. So you have the little shirt, so you look like a little sailor, and then of course you had the little pants. So that was kind of cool. And when Dave and I were there was an older gentleman in a wheelchair, and I'm guessing somebody that either worked for him or worked with him was kind of helping him, but they were just making like stacks of stuff, and I don't know how many the guy actually bought. He was looking through all of these costumes, and Baby Kermit was one of the ones he had in his stack, and the guy kind of put it down, and I was like, oh, can I get that Baby Kermit? And he's like, well, we're still working here. And I was like, oh, all right, well, I told Dave, I guess we'll come back. When I came back, they were still there, but they were leaving, and the kid that was with him was like, hey, and he pointed at the Baby Kermit. I was like, you're awesome, thank you, because he knew I wanted it. And these were small ones. These were for little kids. These were like size 6 to 8. The other one I found was Baby Piggy, which is cool. Baby Piggy's fun. I was showing Carrie pictures of her last night. So you get the little mask, which is pretty adorable in of its own right. And then hers, instead of a 2-piece smock, is actually like a little, it's like a little dress. So you get a little piggy skirt and dress, which is pretty adorable. Carrie lamented the fact that, like, oh, we can't wear those, and we would wear them next week for Halloween. I was like, no, we cannot wear these. We will not fit in these, sadly. We are well past that sweet spot age, and a little overweight in my for me. So I was like, we're not gonna fit in that sucker. But very cool little costumes to find. Again, the guy was... I'm trying to fix that there. The guy was just... I don't want to say he was like clearancing out his stuff, but he was just like, I just want to see him go. He's like, I've had him for years. I've accumulated him. I just would like to see him get a new home. So it was very cool. But that took a lot of thought, because he was like, I was like, oh, you've got all 4 of the Photon ones. He's like, I'll make you a deal, make a stack. And I was like, oh, all right, fine. And Dave was like, and Dave left. He's like, I'm going to leave, so I don't see what happens, so I can tell the firehead I have no idea what happened. But it was a good show. It was a very fun show. For those of you that are members of the Toy World Order fan group, Dave posted pictures of his haul. Of course, from our buddy Scott Kinney, he got an amazing deal on a Blackstar Castle that was only missing like one item, but the castle itself is in pristine condition and beautiful unbroken plastic. So Dave... it's kind of funny because Dave has talked about years about going down the Blackstar aisle, because he always thought that line was really cool, but he just never pulled the trigger, and now he's in the Blackstar. He's like, well, gone down that alley. I'm like, yeah, you have, buddy. Hardcore. I'm like, you got one of the hardest pieces out of the way, so that's a plus. But he was very happy with that. He couldn't like get his money out fast enough to give to Scott, and he's like, oh, sold. I will take it. So very cool. Guys, thanks for watching. Sadly, we don't get to do a whole lot of these haul videos anymore. I'll be honest, Carrie and I stopped filming new collection expansions. I probably have 8 or 10 that still need to be edited. We kind of stopped filming for a while because it just kind of became overwhelming. Just because we'd accumulated so much stuff and it just needed put up. Like, it was just piles of stuff. And I was like, I need to find homes for this stuff. So, but there are still some episodes you guys have not seen a collection expansion that I promise you I will bring you some more collection expansion. I've had a lot of people ask, but there are some other episodes. It's been really hard for me to edit those because a lot of them, Chase was still alive when we filmed, and a lot of them Dash kind of makes an appearance, and now, both dogs are gone for us. So it's still kind of hard. It's been a few months, but it's still kind of hard for me to watch video of them or see them on video. You know, it's kind of rough. But I promise you, I will bring you some more episodes of that. Guys, thanks for watching. Hit the subscribe button, share this video, mash the like button, show people everything that I found, and share your thoughts and comments below. Or if you're watching this on Facebook, share your comments below. And gang, until next time, as my buddy David would say, keep playing with your toys. I'll see you guys next time. Take care.